you ever thought about going to Prague for IVF? I imagine you have because you clicked on this video, and I'm here to tell you that yes, you should. And it's not as complicated as you might think it is. I'm going to break it down into some pretty straightforward steps for you today. This video is about pre-cycle, the things you need to think about and take care of before you start your cycle. So let's get into it. There's some great tips in here. And let's not get into it. Let's actually talk first about why you might be considering going to Prague for IVF and why you should do it. So Prague is the IVF capital of Europe. And Europe is huge and big and full of people. Why Prague has become the IVF capital of Europe is for a few really great reasons. One, price. Can't beat it. In Canada, IVF is literally twice the price of going to Prague for IVF, or the cycle in Prague. We went to Prague and had an amazing 2-week vacation in Europe and had IVF and brought 2 babies home on board, all for the same price as doing a cycle here in Canada. Wild. And if you're in the States, IVF costs even more for you guys than it does here in Canada, which means you're saving even more money. It's wild. You need to look into this if you haven't. The second thing is that because Europe is huge and there's so many clinics and all these people are flocking there, they have some of the best doctors and some of the best technologies into fertility. So that's how I ended up finding Prague, is because we have male factor infertility, and it turns out in Prague there's Pixie, ICSI, Max, and IMSI. A lot of different things that they do to find the best sperm to make a baby with, and that's not available here. And so when we found that was a huge thing for us to get there. And then we saw the price. And for people who are in the realm of infertility that requires them to have a donor of some kind, whether that's donor sperm, donor egg, or a complete donor embryo, the laws in Prague are much more flexible than a lot of places in the world. So again, the costs are lower and the simplicity of the process is much better in Prague than in most places in the world. Put those things together and you have a thriving IVF metropolis just waiting for everybody to go and make their babies. Okay. So you're ready to go. You are okay. All right, I'm going to do this. How do I make it happen? Step 1. My recommendation for anybody going into a IVF round is, I don't care where you're going, whether it's to Prague or locally, is to 3 months out from around the date that you're planning on leaving to get your diet and health protocols on track. So for both you and your spouse, you need to be focusing on eating the right foods to clean up your diet and detox some of the, life gookies out. That is so professional. But the life gookies. Anyways, you know what I'm saying? We all know about detoxing. The second thing you want to be doing is eating food that makes your sperm and your eggs better. That is foods that are highly nutrient dense and possibly some supplements depending on your own infertility journey and needs. And the last thing that you're going to want to do is make sure you're eating the right foods to feed your hormones, because if you want healthy eggs and sperm, you need to have a healthy helping of reproductive hormones. Right? Okay, so 3 months out, you're eating great. Step number 2, you're going to choose a clinic. Taking your own case history into account, you're going to find a clinic that specializes in your type of infertility. If you're in doubt or want support in this arena, feel free to reach out and I can help find you a good clinic or point in the right direction. There's also a great group on Facebook for IVF in Prague where a whole bunch of people are talking about the clinics that they've went to, and you can ask for reviews on clinics or recommendations if anybody has a similar case as you, so that you can find the right clinic for what you need. Step number 3, you need to consider when you want to go. When my husband and I went to Prague, due to the timing of some work stuff and my cycle, because we went with my natural cycle, the longest that we could go for was 2 weeks. And I would recommend that if your life allows it, especially if you're coming from the other side of the pond, to go as close to the start of the cycle as possible. And this is for a couple reasons. One is you will need to do remote monitoring. For some people, it will be easier than others. Some people have access to a fertility clinic that for a fee will arrange this for them, or access, like to myself, I had a doctor who wrote requisitions for me for blood work and the ultrasounds, but I had to run around between the ultrasound and the blood work and back to the doctor's office to get results and then to work. So it was hectic. It was a hectic first 8 days. Not that we didn't make it happen, obviously, because we did, but if I was to do it again, I would do everything I could to get there as early in the cycle as possible. You also, when to go, you want to figure out when it will fit into your life. And really, for me, I was just ready to go as soon as I could get there. It wasn't about fitting to my life as much as possible. I fit it in as soon as I could, because I wanted to be a mom, right? We've been there. You've been there. You're there. You make it happen. The next thing you will need to do is you'll need to find a doctor who is willing to work with you in regards to writing requisitions. So the IVF clinic that you will be working with in Prague will accept most of the paperwork that you've already gotten from your fertility clinic, which maybe is a step, but not quite a step because it's really minor. You will need to get your file from any fertility clinics or doctors you've already been working with. This will simplify or reduce the number of tests that the Prague IVF clinic will ask of you. But they still will ask of you to do more tests. Some of the tests that we had, although they were done, they were not done as recent as they liked. So I had to work with my family doctor, who was amazing. I was very lucky. We just went in one day and talked to him about our plan of going to Prague and asked if he would be supportive and write all the tests, and he did. And we actually didn't have to pay for a single test here where I'm from, which is amazing, because he said possibly I might have to, but I didn't. So all of our monitoring ended up being free, a hassle, but free. A lot of your family doctors are going to be excited to help you with this, because they've been on this journey with you since the beginning, forever, however long this has been. They've been waiting with you and hoping for you as well. I know my doctor was anything he could do to help. So that was just truly a really sweet thing for him. And he saw a lot of me for a couple weeks, that's for sure. The next thing, so the fifth thing you're going to want to be thinking about is your fertility medication. Something that is really cool that's available that not everybody might know about is you can order drugs online, and they will ship from overseas back into North America and save you a boatload of money. There are a couple places in the world where IVF meds have been capped by the government, so they do not cost even close to what we pay for in North America. And I know in America, you pay way more than I pay here in Canada. That's just the way drugs go. I don't know, it's ridiculous. But if you're looking to cut the costs on IVF meds, I think literally the website I got my drugs from was ivfmeds.com. And it shipped here in a matter of, I think it was expedited in 48 hours, landed great condition, no concerns. If you are not comfortable with getting your drugs from overseas, another great option for you would be to go to Costco. So Costco does take a couple days to bring them in for you, as not very many will carry those drugs on hand. That's pretty self-explanatory why. But if you give them a call, they will bring them in, and you can also save quite a bit of money from them versus your fertility clinic. And then the last option that you have to source your drugs is your fertility clinic. It's up to you wherever you're most comfortable and how much you're trying to cut costs. Your fertility meds don't necessarily come with syringes and needles. I think you can order them from the website, but if not, you can buy them from the pharmacy. And just a little IVF tip here, even if you're not doing IVF in Prague and getting your drugs outside the IVF clinic, you can get the needles that are the same size as the ones on the Gonal F and other pens that are teeny tiny and don't hurt that much. You can get that size of a needle to go on your syringes. It doesn't work for the PIO shots because that's oil and it's heavy, but it's great. Also, a perk of IVF in Prague is I never got recommended PIO shots. So I never had to do that. We just did suppositories and they worked great for me. It might be different if you have a progesterone disorder. They might be very adamant in those cases that you need the PIO shots, but that wasn't part of my infertility, so the suppositories were great. I've never had to experience a PIO shot in my fertility journey, so kudos to all you women that have. The last thing to talk about in this kind of pre-cycle checklist video is that I would recommend that if you're going to Prague, that you watch Honest Prague Guy or Honest Prague on YouTube. So he was very helpful for my husband and I before we went. One, to help us get excited about all the really cool things that are in Prague, because there's some crazy things. Like you can eat like gourmet dinners, like huge dinners for $5. Like he shows you like the ins and outs. Like he's like, you can eat in Prague for $10 a day and eat out in Prague for $10 a day. Food prices there are incredible. And beer prices too. Like I think beer was cheaper than water. It was crazy. My husband loved it. Anyways, Honest Prague, he shows you, this is an important one, about money exchanges. So in Prague, there are people on the street that will exchange your money and, flip the signs around saying, money exchange, don't go to those people. They charge you a ridiculous amount of money to exchange your money. So he tells you where to go in order to get an honest exchange rate and fee for exchanging money. This came in handy for us. It was annoying because if we ran out of cash, we had to walk pretty far because it was on the far side of the main square from where we were staying. It was still within walking distance. It was fine. I don't think you even care about that. Anyways, Honest Prague, watch it before you go and start to get excited. This is a really exciting time in your life. This is a great place to go while you're experiencing what could be one of the more stressful times in your life. I know my local cycle was so bad and so stressful, but when we were in Prague, if you've seen my previous video, we literally almost didn't think about the fact that we were doing IVF, especially my husband, but I was able to get lost in the excitement of this just crazy beautiful city and country. We just did so many things. We went to Kutná Hora and saw the Bone Castle and giant cathedrals and went into a mine tour, and we went to Carlsbad Castle and went up the mountain on the back of on a horse buggy, which was, you could have walked faster. But we just did so many things. And then at the end of it, we walked away with 2 embryos on board. We didn't walk away, we flew away, right? Because we were clearly not walking home. We flew away with 2 embryos on board that turned into our 2 amazing babies. So that is everything you need to think about before your cycle starts. Obviously, there's more to it than that. But those are the big things you need to think about to get your ball rolling and get everything working and getting in touch with that fertility clinic that you chose. And everything will just start rolling, and they'll tell you exactly what you need once you've made all these choices. And then once you have a cycle date start or an idea, then you're going to watch my next video that talks about all the things you need to take care of after you know the when you're going. When is cycle day 1 or when is cycle day 8, whichever day you're choosing to go on. That's my next video. So hit this like button if you got some value and ideas and excitement on going to Prague to have IVF. And hit subscribe so you're notified when that next video gets uploaded. It won't be long, maybe a week, but it'll be helpful. So, all right, that's it. Start eating well. Pick your clinic. Get a doctor to work with. Find somewhere to get your drugs. And get really excited because you're going to Prague to have IVF. And that's pretty awesome. That's it. Bye.